It's an average morning at the office. An employee logs on to their work computer, but instead of seeing the expected startup screen, there's a message that this computer is now under a hacker's control. The screen shows a number by which the company can contact the hacker to arrange the ransom payment. Ransomware attacks are on the rise and can strike at any moment. And it's not just big businesses being hit by ransomware. Bad actors have seized control of systems belonging to grocery chains in Sweden, schools in New Zealand, healthcare providers, and government offices around the world. According to Verizon's 2023 Data Breach Investigations report, ransomware was involved in almost a quarter of all breaches. And the Sophos State of Ransomware 2023 report says that 66% of organizations experienced a ransomware attack in the past year. In other words, ransomware is everywhere. But what exactly is it, and how does it work? In the next few minutes, we'll try to answer both questions. For a deeper dive, explore our complete collection on all things ransomware by clicking the link above or in the description below. Ransomware is a type of malware that locks and encrypts a victim's data, devices, and systems, holding them hostage until, as the name suggests, the victim pays a ransom. The ransomware lifecycle has 6 general stages. Stage 1 is malware distribution and infection. This is when attackers infiltrate their victims' systems, commonly through phishing attacks, and infect them with malware. In Stage 2, the attacker sets up a command and control server that sends encryption keys to the target system, installs additional malware, and facilitates other stages of the ransomware lifecycle. At Stage 3, the attacker conducts discovery and makes lateral movements through the victim's system. This is a 2-step stage that involves attackers first gathering information about the victim network to help them better understand how to launch a successful attack, and then spreading the infection to other devices and elevating their access privileges to seek out valuable data. Stage 4 is when the really bad stuff happens: theft and file encryption. This is when the attackers exfiltrate data to their command and control server to use later. Attackers then encrypt the data and systems using the keys sent from their command and control server. It's at Stage 5, when the attackers demand a ransom payment, that an organization learns it is a victim of a ransomware attack. Stage 6 is the resolution stage. The victim organization must take action to address and recover from the attack. Ideally, the victim has backups that can be restored and a ransomware recovery plan they can implement. They might negotiate with the attackers, pay the ransom, or just rebuild systems from the ground up. Depending on many factors, like the attack's sophistication, the attacker's motivation, and the victim's defenses, the consequences of ransomware can range from inconvenient to devastating. Typically, a ransomware hack is expensive. One survey reported the average ransomware payment in 2023 was $1.5 million, up from over $800,000 the previous year. But the total cost of ransomware attacks is often far higher than the payment amounts because of costs caused by data exposure or loss, system downtime, lost productivity and revenue, and legal and regulatory compliance fines. A ransomware attack can also damage a business's reputation, lower employee morale, and destroy customer trust. Both cybersecurity experts and government authorities discourage paying ransoms. They believe that paying up only encourages attackers, puts targets on victims' backs for future attacks, and causes future legal issues. Plus, paying a ransom is never a guarantee that attackers will return the victim's data, or that they won't use it in extortion attacks in the future. So then, what are a ransomware victim's options? Using ransomware negotiation services can help soften the blow. These specialized third-party brokers act as intermediaries, and they're well-versed in ransomware groups and their demands. Cyber insurance can also help lessen the financial burden and generally offer pre-breach services like training, vulnerability scanning, and tabletop exercises, as well as post-breach services. Some will also work with negotiation services to try to lower ransom payment amounts. Given the hassle and expense, prevention is the best cure. But it's a huge challenge, and there's no quick remedy. Experts recommend a multi-pronged prevention strategy. That starts with implementing a defense-in-depth approach to cybersecurity. That is, layered security controls that work in concert to block malicious activity. This way, if malware sneaks past one control, another security mechanism might stop it. The minimum defense should be deployment of several foundational cybersecurity tools and strategies. Things like anti-malware, multi-factor authentication, firewalls, email security filtering, web filtering, network traffic analysis, endpoint detection and response, the principle of least privilege, and secure remote access technologies like VPNs and zero-trust network access. Organizations should also limit or block the use of remote desktop protocol. There are other steps your organization can take to prevent a ransomware attack. 1. Put advanced security controls into place. Basic cybersecurity controls can recognize and catch many known ransomware variants, but advanced protection technologies are more likely to uncover new attacks. Consider tools and strategies such as extended detection and response, managed detection and response, secure access service edge, SIAM, user and entity behavior analytics, zero trust security, and cyber deception. 2. Keep up with patch management. Ransomware attacks often take advantage of known vulnerabilities for which the vendor has already released a patch. But if that patch isn't deployed by users, then it might as well not exist. 3. Perform data backups. Backups of critical data can effectively short-circuit a ransomware attack, letting an organization restore operations without entertaining cybercriminals' demands. Be sure the backup isn't accessible from the primary IT environment, though. That way, threat actors can't find and encrypt it during the intrusion. And finally, step 4. Be sure your organization doesn't neglect security awareness training. Ransomware operators frequently gain access to corporate networks via detectable and preventable means. End-user education is arguably the most important and the most difficult element of malware prevention. So make security awareness training dynamic and engaging. It should include specifics about ransomware to teach users both how to avoid attacks and what to do if they think one might be underway. Even organizations that follow ransomware prevention best practices can fall victim. In fact, many experts say it's not a question of if, but when a ransomware attack will happen. But if your security team can detect such an attack in its early stages, they could isolate and remove malicious actors before they have time to find, encrypt, and exfiltrate sensitive data. The first line of defense: anti-malware tools that can recognize ransomware variants based on their digital signatures. Possible indicators of compromise include abnormal file executions, network traffic, and API calls, any of which could point to an active ransomware attack. Some organizations use proactive, deception-based detection, cyber decoys, to flush out adversaries by baiting them with fake IT assets. These have very low false positive rates. That makes them valuable weapons in the fight against ransomware. Any credible suggestion that a ransomware intrusion is underway should automatically trigger the security team to take steps to validate the attack. If a ransomware attack is confirmed, the next step should be, first, gather the pre-organized incident response team. This team should include members from IT, executive management, and the legal and PR teams. Ideally, the team members should know 3 things before an attack ever happens. 1, how they will receive notification of an incident. 2, their particular roles and responsibilities. And 3, how to communicate with each other. Once the team is gathered, it's time to analyze the incident. It's essential to quickly determine how far the malware has spread. Third, contain the incident. Disconnect and quarantine any infected systems and devices to minimize the malware's impact. Then check backup resources to confirm that they're intact and secure. Next, it's time to investigate. Gather as much information as possible about the ransomware attack and its severity. assess potential outcomes, and make recommendations to executive decision makers. Fourth, eradicate malware and recover. Delete and replace infected central system instances, and wipe and restore affected endpoints with clean backup data. Next, scan the restored data to confirm the malware is gone. Finally, change all system, network, and account passwords. Fifth, contact stakeholders. Communicate the specifics of the incident to appropriate stakeholders, following your incident response plan. This includes internal stakeholders, such as employees and executive leadership, and external stakeholders, including customers, third-party partners, and law enforcement. Then, step 6. It's time to conduct post-incident activities. You'll need to disclose attacks to government organizations and customers in keeping with compliance regulations and company policies. Then confirm all systems, data, and applications are accessible and operational with no outstanding vulnerabilities that could let attackers back into the environment. Finally, step 7. Once the dust has settled and the organization is again operating normally, you'll want to analyze and learn from the attacks. Identify any security gaps the organization needs to address to prevent future episodes, and review incident response efforts, identify lessons learned, and update your incident response plan as needed. While doing this post-mortem, be careful not to let anyone point fingers or assign blame. Treat the aftermath of a ransomware attack as an opportunity to learn from past missteps and make future ransomware prevention and response efforts stronger. Remember, ransomware is pervasive. The odds are that your organization will be attacked. It's time to get ready and to be prepared for the worst. If it never happens, count your organization lucky. If it does, and if you follow the guidance in this video, the damage should be minimized. Good luck.